already has a bunch of types, but what if they added nearly 50 more? Well, introducing Pokémon Too Many Types, the fan game that lets you discover a whole range of new types, like the Zuma type, the Furry type, and even the Gun type. So I played through this whole game to see just how unhinged, ridiculous, and menacing these new types could get. Here's what happened. While this mod is based on Pokemon Emerald, our starter choices are completely different. We've got two really cool options to choose from. Oh, and Chikorita is here too. In this game, Chikorita has the added Bean type since it's literally just a bean. Fennekin gets the Magic type, and Poplio has the all-new Silly type. He's basically just a silly little guy, and I am here for it. Regardless, I decided to take the Fire Magician, Fennekin. And as soon as we start our first battle, we already start to see some of the changes in Pokemon Too Many Types. Firstly, our Scratch attack, which is usually a generic normal type move, has now been upgraded to the Sharp type. This isn't a one-off either. A bunch of other moves in this game have also had their types changed, but the biggest change here is with our enemy. In this game, we can see what type our opponents are, and in the case of Poochyena, it's an Angry type, which, yeah, that tracks. To be honest, I have no idea where the Angry type fits in on the type chart, so I just used Ember, which thankfully is super effective, taking down Poochyena. So we learned a very valuable lesson here. Angry things do not like being set on fire. Good to know. After that, I was excited to search for more Pokemon and find out what other types exist in this game. So I wasted no time in racing over to May and scratching her into submission before her dad finally lets us begin our adventure. Now, not only is this game overflowing with new types, but the Pokédex also features Pokemon up to Generation 8, which is a cool addition too. Anyway, I decided to go hunting for some more Pokemon, and first up is Pidove, which now has the type combo of Flying and Boring, which seems pretty harsh, but also pretty fair considering that this guy is literally just a pigeon. Regardless, turns out that the Boring type is also weak to fire. Putting Pidove aside, we can also find Sentret here, who now is a normal and fluffy type in this game, which is so cute. And it's unfortunately weak to fire too. Wow, I'm doing so much great research. Professor Birch is going to be so impressed. Along with figuring out some early type matchups, I waste no time in filling out our team, catching ourselves an angry Pooch of our own, as well as Lotad, who is now a Grass and Vibes type Pokemon. I can't really explain why, but Lotad having the Vibes type just feels so fitting. And while these recruits are pretty cool, we also managed to run into something absolutely incredible: Krabby. Not only is Krabby one of the greatest Pokemon of all time, but now it's been christened with the new best type in this entire game, the Crab type. Bow before the almighty, all-powerful crustacean. With these four on our team, I now felt comfortable enough to start pushing through the first few trainers of the game. But this is where I learned about another huge aspect of Too Many Types. Because while important trainers like your rival and gym leaders keep the same teams, all other trainers have randomized teams. That means that someone like Bugcatcher Rick, who claims to want to beat us with his Bug-type Pokemon, is a filthy liar. You sicken me. Anyway, with the updated Pokédex, randomized trainers, and the all-new types, this game has so much content that helps to keep it feeling fresh. So next, we chop and burn through Route 103 with our Crab and Fox before arriving in Petalburg City. Ah, hey kiddo, glad you made it to Petalburg. Thanks Dad, it's great to see you too. And look, Professor Birch let me have this Fennekin. Keegan, why did you pick that starter? Don't worry about it. All of a sudden, Wally interrupts us, and as punishment for our poor life choices, our dad makes us accompany Wally while he goes out and catches his starter, the melon-headed Ralts. I can't believe it! I just caught that Pokemon! Yeah, whatever, Wally. We all know why you chose to catch that one, you freak. Anyway, now we're able to push onward into the Petalburg Woods. And while there's not a lot going on here, I do want to point out that Sandile is now a bad type. Look at this little guy. You couldn't even comprehend the kind of evil, sinister, bad things that are going on inside his mind. And speaking of bad, while strolling through the forest, we're confronted by a Team Aqua Grunt, an underling of the evil gang that wants to submerge the Hoenn region. So of course, he uses the dangerous ocean beast, Fungus? Okay, that seems pretty silly, but I'm sure it'll make sense once we see its type. Okay, I think I've been hit with confusion because this makes no sense. Also, how am I supposed to figure out what the sus type is weak to? This game may be harder than I expected. Regardless, our crab slices through Team Aqua's Sushroom, scaring him off and letting us charge into Rustboro City, where the first gym is located. Now, in this game, the gym leaders also have too many types, as they each now specialize in 2 types. And in the case of Roxanne, not only is she still the rock type leader, but now she also uses the brand new ancient type. And if you had one guess, what do you think the ancient types are weak to? Sharp and monkey types, obviously. But before facing Roxanne, I wanted to hunt for some new potential teammates. However, nothing was really sticking out to me. There is the new song type Whisma and the shockingly stinky type Stunky in Route 116, but none of these guys seem particularly sharp or very monkey-like. However, soon enough, I was able to find exactly what we needed: Kricketot. This baby baritone might seem like a pushover, but thankfully, with the level cap, we can immediately take this toddler and transform it into Cricketoon, the beautiful singer with arms that look like they're ready to cut through some fossils. On top of that, as we tore through Roxanne's gym trainers, it turns out that ancient and rock-type Pokemon have a crippling weakness to Cricketoon's beautiful singing voice. It can sing, it can cut, and did you know it can... With all that in mind, I was feeling incredibly confident as we stepped up to Roxanne. She leads with Geodude as we lead with our singer, and thankfully, it only takes a single beautiful disarming voice to wipe out her rock. Despite this strong start though, things were about to take a turn. Roxanne's ace ball toy is now an ancient psychic type, so it can both fire off powerful rock tombs while also withstanding our song type moves like they're nothing. So it doesn't take long before Roxanne quickly evens the score. However, in our time of need, our heroic Krabby comes to the rescue. Roxanne does try and wear out our Prince Crab by spamming Harden and potions, but after a small eternity, we prevail with our crab-based offense. Last in is Lily, who stands absolutely no chance before the almighty Crab, as 2 cuts slice through Roxanne's final Pokemon. With that, we've beaten the first gym leader. Not only are we awarded with badge number 1, but we're also given something far cooler, an axe. Don't worry, Roxanne, I'll make sure to be very careful with this. And our new weapon was about to be very useful, as Team Aqua appears once again. They've restolen the Devon goods, as well as an innocent Wingull, and it's up to us to save them. But I'm more interested in seeing what other types we can find, so we take a brief detour. I'm sure Wingull won't mind if we don't save it right away. By taking an axe to the trees, we harass some other trainers to see what they have on offer. And after some thorough research, we make a stunning observation. Dunsparce is silly, and it's also very weak to crabs for some reason. And look, I've been a big fan of crab Pokemon for years, and now I can finally celebrate crabs properly with the help of our sponsor, Odoo. Odoo is an all-in-one software designed to give you all the tools you need to manage a business easily and efficiently. Their collection of apps can help you with a bunch of things, like accounting, inventory management, and e-commerce. For a lot of businesses, when you first start, you'll need some kind of website. And while building a website might sound really complicated, Odoo actually makes this process surprisingly simple. To use Odoo's website builder, you just give them some basic details about your business, the kind of information you want to show on the website, as well as the color scheme and layout. Odoo then generates a clean-looking starting point, which you can then easily customize with images, text, products, and way more. It's so easy, in fact, that I even built my own website for my new Claw fan club, where Claw fans can gather to discuss our most beloved Clawfs. You can also meet the team, and I've even included a map to our HQ. Obviously, this specific website is pretty simple, but it only took me about 30 minutes, most of which was spent looking for pictures of Claw. In general though, you can see how easy it is to use this website builder. With Odoo, your first app is free forever, and with the website builder, you'll even get a free domain for the first year. You can then add additional apps as you need them, which you can easily integrate with your website. So, to learn more about Odoo and try your first app for free, click my link in the description and take your business aspirations to the next level with Odoo. After continuing to discover new type combinations, I finally began the Wingull retrieval operation, stepping up to the Team Aqua Grunt for a second time. And while he only had a suspicious fungus the first time, surely this guy has a water type now and... oh. never mind then. But why did they have to do Stantler like that though? An ugly and boring type combo? It might be ugly and boring, but making those its only true characteristics is so out of pocket. Anyway, it turns out that this ugly reindeer is also weak to the glorious crab type, as Vice Grip quickly crushes it for another easy victory. You beat me again? God, I hate crabs. Excuse me? What did you just say about my prince? How dare you? Taste my axe, you thief. Keegan? Is everything okay? Yeah, why do you ask? Is there something on my face? Anyway, May challenges us to a rematch from earlier, and while we aren't able to scratch her into oblivion, we do come across something way cooler. Because when Krabby reaches level 16, it gets to learn Crab Rave? Guys, I think we found the greatest Pokemon move of all time. It's basically a crab-based version of Dragon Dance, which is sick. I wonder what other new moves are in this game. Squirting voice? You taught your Poplio to do that? You sicken me, May. We abandon May and her weird Pokemon tricks in Rustboro as we set sail towards Dooford Town. Our main missions here are to tackle the second gym leader and deliver a letter to Steven, but that pales in comparison to my real goal of searching the caves for more weird and wonderful type combinations. Granite Cave is where we can actually find some Pokemon with 3 types, such as boring, ugly rocks like Geodude, or prime steel guys like Clink. And I mean, the guys type is really fitting here. Clink is literally just a pair of metallic guys. Also, Sableye, formerly a dark ghost, is now just a pure-blooded gamer, which, yeah, I can absolutely see this thing being a total degenerate who sits in the dark and plays games all day. And as we all know, gamers despise touching grass. So I think I know at least one of Sableye's weaknesses. Alongside these encounters in the caves, our Lotad also reaches level 14 and evolves into Lombre. This gives it the additional water typing, which, sadly for any Lombre fans in the chat, means that he doesn't have any new typing yet. With that all behind us, after journeying through the cave, we're able to pass the letter gracefully onto Steven, meaning that all that's left to do on this island is tackle the second gym leader. However, there's one massive change to Brawly in too many types. He stinks. And no, refusing to take a shower doesn't make him a gamer type trainer. I mean that he literally has the added specialty in the stinky type. To be honest, I don't really know how to counter the stink type. I was hoping that the deodorant type might have been added as a natural counter, but sadly that's not the case. Fortunately for us though, we were about to get a new evolution, because at level 16, our adorable little Fennekin evolves into the awesome enchantress, Braixen. Wow, I wonder if it has a new added type too. Please don't tell my dad about this. Despite the immense shame of walking around with our newly evolved furry, we added it to our squad alongside the King Crab and Goblin Gamer to try and earn the second badge. Brawly leads with Mankey as we go with Sableye. And while it's an angry monkey ready to explode at a moment's notice, it turns out that our new gamer type move, Wombo Combo, absolutely crushes Mankey, wiping it off the stage instantly. Although next in is Sork, and this is the first guy whose typing truly baffles me. I have no idea what D's nuts even means. Can somebody in the comments please let me know what D's is? Whatever in God's name Sork is, it turns out that gamers are weak to fighting and D's, so it's not long before Brawly retaliates against our Sableye. But despite this battle looking pretty dicey at this point, one recurring theme of this game is crabs reign supreme. One Vice Grip slices Sork clean in two, and the stinky fighter that is Machop also falls to the claws of our king, giving us another clean win. Despite valiantly fighting Brawly in a fair fight, this guy then gives us PU. Dude, did you just fart right in front of me? After leaving the stench of Dooford immediately, we began sailing to Slateport. Although Slateport isn't much safer, as once we deliver the Devon goods to Captain Stern, we're once again confronted by Team Sus. Hey, wait, that's not our name. Sorry, my bad. Team Boring? No! My mistake. Team Ugly? How dare you! We're Team Aqua, and we're going to drown the Hoenn region with our water-type monsters. So, do you have any water types then? I have an ugly, boring reindeer who drinks water, Does that count? After beating down Team Aqua's ghost and a pair of dancing fire monkeys, this summons their villainous leader, Archie. We are Team Aqua, and we love the sea. Yeah, okay, well, try telling literally everyone in your team that. Regardless, leaving Team Aqua behind, we move past Slateport City and onward to our next goal. Along the way though, we catch up with Professor Birch. Hey Keegan, have you seen May recently? I thought you two were adventuring together. Nah, I wouldn't associate with her, Birch. I mean, have you seen what she's taught her Poplio? She's so weird. Keegan, who's that standing next to you? Gotta run. Moving onwards gives us a whole new route of Pokemon to encounter. For example, in a shocking twist, I ran into a Pokemon that I've never even seen before. Even more mystifying, this unknown creature is a D's type 2. What is going on? Can someone explain this to me? Clearly, I had to catch this strange enigma alongside the fluffy water type Weasel, as well as the vibey fighter friend Riolu. I'm sure these guys will have perfectly respectable types once they evolve too. They're who I'm bringing into our next major battle, which is just up ahead on Route 110, where May is waiting for us. And while at this point in Hoenn, she's usually a demon incarnate, this time she's actually pretty straightforward. Our mysterious Gulpin crushes her Lombre, and while her newly evolved Brionne tortures our gamer by giving it water, it gets taken care of by our Buizel. Her last Pokemon is another head scratcher though, as Slugma has shed its fire type to become a liquid and D's type. I can't tell what Sork, Slugma, and Gulpin have in common. Does anyone in the comments know? Regardless, we quickly take care of May, letting us storm through this route and into Moorville City, home of the third gym. Blocking our access to the gym entrance, however, is the green-haired freak Wally, who I thought would be easy pickings in this game. However, I was shocked to see that he has 3 Pokemon now. Still, our team was comfortably able to take out his fluffy Eevee and gender-type Roselia, although this increasing difficulty from the base game makes me very worried about what Wally might be cooking up later on. But despite the new additions in this game, we've been crushing through these fights so far, and I was starting to think that this game would just be a walk in the park. However, I was about to learn that I was wrong. Because next up for us is Watson, who now has an added specialty in the new Prime type, which apparently has a weakness to Silly, Stinky, and other Prime types. So, to prepare for this fight, I hunted for some new Pokemon, like a silly little Mime Jr., as well as heading back to Rustboro to catch ourselves a Stinky Skunk. And after evolving Mime Jr. into a silly surrogate dad, we had an apparent good type matchup, and I expected this gym to be a breeze. However, we got crushed. Watson leads with a Porygon, who is a Prime gamer, just like his idol, of course. I tried to lead with Stunky and crush it with a Stink Bomb, except it's immune? Turns out, gamers are immune to the Stinky type, which, yeah, I guess I could have figured that one out. This already puts us on the back foot, but then Porygon hits us with the move Hype Train, which is basically a Prime type rollout that started to accrue massive damage. Before long, Watson had KO'd 2 of our Pokemon until our Gulpin finally managed to take it out. But as if things couldn't get any worse, then he emerged. Pikachu. Don't be charmed by this chubby little mouse, because it has a devilish type in this game, the Pikachu type. I have no clue what this guy would be weak to, but clearly, Game Freak's second favorite son is ultra powerful in this game, as it then proceeds to clean up the rest of our team in no time at all, giving us our first loss. And let me tell you, this would by no means be the last one either. Seriously, even with multiple attempts and a team switch up, we just lost again and again to this jolly old man. Not only are his 2 leads difficult to take out, but his ace Whimsicott is a nightmare. Super fast, super fluffy, and super capable of running right through our team. I was losing my mind out here. Clearly, despite how goofy too many types appeared to be, this adventure was getting much more challenging. And if we were going to become a champion, we would need to lock in. So I stepped up to Watson once more, determined that this time, things would be different. On attempt number 6, we lead with Mr. Mime. At the current level cap, our silly Squirt Flower absolutely rinses the Prime gamer, giving us an early lead. This summons Watson's Cotton Ball Ace, who I now know likes to go for growth. So I tried to be clever by predicting it with Encore, but sadly, we just let Whimsicott hit us with Prime Subs, which crushes our father figure in only 2 hits. So I guess it's time to turn to Plan B, Plan Bait. Braixen might not be much of a physical attacker, but after a quick tail whip lowers Whimsicott's defense, a few cut attacks manage to trim the fluffy menace down in a few turns, which is huge for us. Then, against the self-absorbed Pikachu, Watson goes for a cheesy paralysis with Thunder Wave, which we instantly counter since our ace is holding a Cherry Berry, after which 2 magical missiles finish off the Pikachu-type Pokemon. This leaves Watson with only his Rotom, who is a pure Prime type. However, if there's anything on the internet more prime for making money, it's furries. With that logic, Braixen quickly takes down Rotom, giving us some very vindicating revenge over Watson, as well as our 3rd badge. Despite that being a well-earned victory in the end, clearly this game was not going to be easy, and if we wanted to become champion, we were going to have to conquer some very difficult and very disturbing hurdles. For now though, we're able to hammer our way past some ugly rocks to head north through Route 112, across the newly renamed Stinky Path, all the way to Falabor Town. While we didn't see that much that was new, we did meet a Spiel who's been newly crowned as a silly friend ball, which is the absolute perfect typing for this. Even more excitingly though, we also catch ourselves the Prime Gamer type, Porygon. And I know exactly what to call a Prime Gamer like this. With the best possible Pokemon now in our box, I was feeling pretty confident to confront the second evil team of the region, Team Magma. While Team Aqua's crimes have so far been limited to harassing seagulls and the use of Fire-type Pokemon, Team Magma seems far more sinister, having stolen a meteorite to try and cause Mount Chimney to erupt and create more land. Dear God, these guys are serious. I bet they have so many Fire types, ground types, and maybe even something crazy like a Hellspawn type. Or they're just as bad as Team Aqua. And in some cases, even worse. Seriously, Team Magma admin Tabitha had precisely 0 ground types, but 2 water types. Do any of you guys even know what you're doing? Thankfully though, unlike the underlings, Maxie has an intimidating team that actually matches with whatever he's trying to achieve. While he still carries his angry dog and blind bat from the base game, in this mod, he swaps out his volcanic camel for the D's-type snail, Macargo. And while this strange evolution of Slugma might seem intimidating, nothing can stop the overwhelming might of Mr. Mime and his silly Squirt Flower. So we quickly extinguished Maxie and began heading towards the next gym. Along the way, we also find a Lickitung, who, for some reason, now has the insanely ridiculous type combo of Sus and Right Wing. Damn, I really don't know who to vote for in this upcoming Poke election. Anyway, soon after, we arrive in Lava Ridge, the cozy hot spring town, where we acquaint ourselves with the elderly before beginning our pursuit of the 4th badge. Fire and Fluffy is Flannery's specialty for this one, and after how badly we got beaten up by Watson, I didn't want to be unprepared again this time. So I set out to evolve some of our team. First, the Prince Crab takes his place on the throne by evolving into Kingler, one of the all-time greats. And even more, our cute little Weasel transforms into the awesome and powerful Floatzel. This Pokemon is so sick. I wonder what type it is. Oh dear God, no. Putting my immense shame aside, with our pair of furries, our Crab Monarch, along with the new Space Rock Lunatone that we caught in the Meteor Falls, we charged through Flannery's gym, ready to take her on. Flannery's team is both powerful and adorable, even constantly giving us hugs throughout the fight. Despite that, our team is pretty stacked to take on this gym with our water and rock type moves. On top of that, it turns out that the space type is also super effective against fire, which actually makes a lot of sense when you think about it, since there's no oxygen in space. This means that Lunatone puts in work here. So after a very quick beatdown on Flannery, our starter had prevailed against another gym leader's ace, giving us the win as well as our 4th badge. However, now we have a particularly difficult challenge for us to deal with, as next up is our own father, who we have a complicated relationship with. But I was determined to build a bridge and fix our relationship. And since our dad Norman specializes in normal types, I knew exactly who to bring to impress him. Both our Vibes and base type fighter Riolu, as well as a Baneri I caught outside Route 112. Since it's a normal type, I just know that this will make dad proud. So after evolving these two into Lucario and Larpeny, I feel much more confident for the next gym now that we have 2 fighting types on the team. Yep. definitely just a couple of fighting types. So, with my confidence flying high and a top-tier squad on our side, we return to Petalburg City to face off against our father. Although, this time, the gym assistant doesn't tell us what type our dad uses. Huh. That's weird. He's probably a boring type leader, or maybe something ridiculous and stupid like normal too. As if that's a type in this game. Whatever's going on, we progress through the gym before stepping face to face with our disappointed father. And hey, wait a minute, he has a bunch of furries! My dad's a sick freak! As absurd as the furry type is, it's got a pretty sensible design. For example, furries are immune to the stink type, while their fursuit also makes them weak to fire. On top of that, furry attacks aren't very effective on either of the normal types, so all of this pretty much checks out. Basically, Norman's carrying a quartet of IT technicians, all of which love to give hugs and wreak havoc with powerful moves. That being said, our team, consisting of completely unrelated Pokemon, have some pretty great moves at their disposal to counteract every member of Norman's team. Even though this fight is really close, eventually leading to a 1v1, we can torch our Twisted Dad's ace fursuit for the victory and our 5th badge. I can't believe it, my own son has finally bested me. That's right, old man, and frankly, I'm disgusted by your team and you should be ashamed. I mean, really, who walks around with a team full of furries? I bet that's why mum doesn't let you come home. Like, seriously, I'd die of embarrassment if that was me. Putting the trauma of discovering that your dad is a furry aside, Wally's dad enters and hands us a surfboard as thanks. And this is huge, as now we can surf across the water to access the remainder of the Hoenn region. Although, I don't know if I'm entirely ready for our next pit stop, as Team Aqua have once again reared their ugly heads by taking control of the Weather Institute. And it's here that something revolutionary has taken place, because a Team Aqua Grunt actually has a water type. This means one of two things. Either one, these wet boys are finally starting to understand what their goal is, or two, this guy is a Team Magma Grunt in disguise. Quick, get the axe! After using our new gun type move to shoot through Admin Shelly's Vanillish and Angry Primeape, I was expecting the rescued hostages to thank us by giving us a cast form like in the base games. But no. Instead, they give us a Ditto, which is already a concerning Pokemon to start with, but now it's even more disturbing because it's classified as a sus liquid. You sicken me. Well, at least it beats whatever type cast form might have been. Putting any and all sus liquids behind us, after our heroics at the Weather Institute, soon after, we arrive in Four Tree City, the quiet little town among the treetops, where we can fight for our 6th badge. Although, we can't access the gym right away due to an invisible obstacle in our path. However, after Steven reappears and hands us the Devonscope, we're able to sleuth out the invisible creature, Kecleon. Now, dearest viewer, here's a question for you. What type do you think Kecleon is? A sus type? A boring type? Maybe even a friend type? Nope. Try a type. I honestly don't know what I expected. And speaking of not knowing what to expect, once we step inside Four Tree City Gym, the gym guide states that he has no idea what Winona's specialty is and that we'll have to find out for ourselves. However, the first few battles against the gym trainers do give us some clues, as they reveal a few Pokemon who can sing and a few others who can dance. While I'm sure that we would definitely be able to beat Winona in a dance-off, I have no idea what type of Pokemon to bring in this fight. So you know what? Screw it. If this gym wants to be confusing, then I'll just assemble the weirdest squad of Pokemon possible. With that, I gathered the type-typed Kecleon, suspicious liquid-type Ditto, and suspicious imposter-type Zoroark, giving us a trio of weirdos that will throw any trainer off their game, as well as our newly evolved D's-type Swallow. Oh, and Braixen is here too. It's only here for emotional support, I swear. Anyway, with these 5 unlikely heroes, we stepped up to face the theater kid, Winona. She leads with Ludicolo, as we lead with Swallow, and... Wait, what happened to the battlefield? So, it turns out that Ludicolo has a new ability called Groovy, which turns the arena into a dance floor. I don't know what this does, but I'm guessing it gives Winona some kind of advantage. However, we've been incredibly sneaky, as this isn't Swallow. It's actually our sus Zoroark, who's able to interrupt Winona's lead and take it out within 2 turns. But even though her ace Altaria can hit the field to quickly retaliate, this paves the way for our real Swallow to hit the field. And little did I know, this guy was about to go crazy. Swalot manages to land a Toxic on Winona's Dancing Dragon, which causes her to switch on the following turn, giving us a free body slam onto the incoming Chatot for big damage. We then trade blows back and forth for a few turns, but once Winona's Chatot sets up the dance floor again with its new Flash Mob move, we quickly hit it with Encore, locking Chatot into its Flash Mob status move. Winona responds by switching again, this time into Exploud, who we absolutely demolish with 2 quick body slams. And from here, the D's type Swalot just continues going absolutely wild, with Encore spam enabling us to crush the rest of her theater production single-handedly, giving us the win with a team of Pokemon who are absolutely not allowed within 500 feet of a school. Apparently though, our win was so impressive, since the gym leader starts flirting with us? Sorry Winona, I'm committed to my job right now. Isn't that right, Larpeny and Breakson? Okay, Winona's dance types, combined with setting up a dance floor mid-fight, was a surprise, but considering everything we've seen so far, along with all the little freaks we'd assembled along the way, I think I've finally got a handle on all of the types in this game now. Okay, I stand corrected. Bouffalant is an Ohio-type Pokemon now, and I am a confused type. Moving on, the next section of this unhinged game brings us to Mount Pyre, where we once again feel the presence of Team Aqua. And seriously, these guys have no idea what they're doing. Like, why does one of your grunts have a Slugma? This guy has the least optimal build for an ocean. Anyway, after reaching the top of the mountain, we briefly confront Archie before he takes off with his newfound ball. However, I was much more interested in hunting down some more Pokemon, so I began searching the area and quickly found a Ghost Gamer Duskull. But after that, I found something outrageous, Dreepy, who now has the very cursed type combo of Gun, Ghost, Baby. The sheer thought of a Ghost Baby wielding a Glock is absolutely horrifying, but Dreepy's pretty cool, so he gets a pass. On top of that, now we have access to the Safari Zone. I did a little exploring here, but the highlight was definitely being able to catch the Pikachu type Pikachu. Its type icon is so adorable. Apparently, for some reason, the Pikachu type is strong against ground types, which makes absolutely no sense, but it does finally provide a lore-accurate reason for why Pikachu was able to beat Brock's Onix in the anime. It also has no effect on flying types, which probably explains why Pikachu was able to just electrocute Ash's Swellow in the anime with no damage dealt whatsoever. Pikachu does have the ability to surf and fly though, making this little guy very useful. During all of these encounters, Breakson also reaches level 36, evolving into its final form, Delphox. Hopefully now it's gotten over its furry phase and is matured into something else. Never mind. With the immense shame of our furry starter still present, we take flight on our yellow rat all the way to Mount Chimney, which reveals Team Magma's secret hideout. This next section of the game has us fight through both the Team Magma and Team Aqua hideouts, but there isn't really much worth noting here. Ultimately, Maxie has pretty much the same team as last time, so he can't really do anything to stop our King Crab from taking over. The Team Aqua admins in their hideout are also a pretty similar story, so we were moving towards the endgame. And I am so curious about what ridiculous types the final bosses of this game are going to specialize in. Regardless, I know that there are going to be some difficult hurdles coming up, so we need to lock in. Hi Keegan, how's your adventure coming along? Sorry May, I don't have time for this. I've got to get into that department store right now. So let's find out if you're weak to sharp type moves. Once inside the Lilycove department store, we can find a bunch of new evolution items that have been added here in this ROM hack. And since trade evolutions don't exist in this game, we can get some truly powerful upgrades to our roster. For example, our Prime Gamer type Porygon can evolve all the way into Porygon Z, who is now wielding the very powerful Sus Gamer type. So with those upgrades now taken care of, we can surf on our multi-purpose mouse all across the oceans of Hoenn before eventually arriving in Moss Deep City. The penultimate gym is here, and apparently Tate and Liza now specialize in the space type, which makes a lot of sense. I'm still not completely sure what to use against these space type Pokemon, so I just decided to bring some of our new powerful Pokemon that we haven't had the chance to use yet, like our Sus Gamer Porygon Z. It, along with our newly evolved Dusknoir and the angry Fire Monkey type Darmanitan, will join our starter in making up our team as we step up to face a double battle against Tate and Liza. Wait, what? You're not the gym leader? What is going on here? So, it turns out, instead of the Space Twins, we actually have to face off against Clay from Pokémon Black and White. And if that's not surprising enough, now Clay is some kind of patriotic, God-fearing American. Damn it, this game has gone too far this time. This is not the fight that I was prepared for. And instead of going up against the Space type like I expected, Clay carries a combination of Gun Pokémon, Ohio Pokémon, and Right-Wing Pokémon. I can just feel the overwhelming aura of freedom flowing from my screen. He leads with the Gun Dragon, Duraludon, as well as the Ohio type Bouffalant, who now has the most ridiculous moves I have ever seen, featuring attacks such as Riot, Rodeo, as well as Deport. This game is so unhinged. Anyway, I lead with our fiery pair, but this fight does not start out well, because unfortunately, in a cruel parallel to real life, our monkey gets shot down, KOing it instantly. This is so sad. Can we get 1 billion new subscribers to pay respects to another great ape taken from us too soon? Regardless, this lets us bring in Keegan J, and this is where Clay makes a vital error, because this man is just obsessed with deporting our Pokemon, which lets us set up, clearing us to quickly crush Duraludon and Hitmonchan in no time at all. The Freedom Bird, Braviary, manages to gun down our Ghost somehow, although we retaliate with our top tier gamer, knocking out Braviary before wiping out Clay's Bouffalant with a painful Scream Peek to end the battle, securing us a safe badge number 7. But man, this game has been an absolute whirlwind. Anyway, Clay runs off to go and storm the offices of the Hoenn League, while we've got more pressing matters at hand, as Team Magma are trying to blow up a volcano? Okay, not only is that entirely nonsensical, but why are you guys a part of this plan? You have a Pyukumuku! He's not built for this level of villainy. We confront Maxie and his stupid plan at the top of the Moss Deep Space Center before being forced to team up with Steven Stone in a double battle. But hey, we've clowned on this guy in every fight, and we have a champion for a partner. So obviously, we lost? Seriously, we've stomped on these fools for the entire game. But in this fight, the duo of Maxie and Tabitha continuously targeted my side of the field, probably because I've bullied them for the entirety of this game. Although, strangely, the battle doesn't end. I guess because Steven is still standing, the fight goes on. So, me and Maxie just sit on the sidelines, watching Steven's Matang beat up the remainder of Tabitha's team, giving us the win. Still, I don't feel so good about that win since I just got completely pummeled. Anyway, with that evil villain taken care of, now we have to chase down another one deep inside the seafloor cavern where we find Team Aqua. Just like the Team Magma hideout, we quickly breeze through the grunts before making light work of Archie's team, consisting of 2 non-water types and his weird crab. Just like the base games, Archie has an intelligence stat of 0, as this guy tries to control Kyogre with the red orb, which shockingly doesn't work at all. This causes a catastrophic climate disaster, and I can only assume that all of Team Aqua's Pokemon have drowned as a result. Anyway, this section of the game is all pretty vanilla. Groudon and Kyogre are locked into a very intense, very unbalanced fight in Sootopolis City. So, we travel all the way to the Sky Pillar, wake up the legendary Guardian Rayquaza, who puts both Groudon and Kyogre in a timeout in their rooms to have a long, hard think about what they've done. That puts an end to both weather fanatics and their armies of idiots, which perfectly leads into the final leg of the gym challenge against the 8th leader. The gym assistant claims that the leader is Juan, who's returned to the region with his water types. But honestly, at this point, it could end up being Archie again with a team of 6 Groudons. Who even knows what to expect with this game anymore? Regardless, I took this advice at his word and elected to assemble a team of grass and electric types from the grassy routes of Hoenn to the abandoned power plant near Moorville. This, alongside some evolutions, gave us a solid team to take on some water types. However, it turns out that Juan doesn't specialize in water types, instead harnessing the god tier power of the crab type. While this change did catch me off guard, our team still manages to hold their own pretty well here, and before long, our Roserade had drained the life out of Juan's weird good-looking buff crab, awarding us a very straightforward final gym badge. That clears us to set off for Victory Road, bringing us one step closer to whatever horrors await us in the Elite Four. Regardless, I'm sure it'll all be fine. Eventually, we make our way up the giant waterfall to Evergrande City, bringing us to the final road to the Pokémon League. And of course, to ruin the moment, we're ambushed by Wally. Wow, Keegan, it's so great to see you here. How about a quick battle before the league? Ha! Don't make me laugh, you Gardevoir-obsessed freak. This will be a piece of cake. Alright, let's just get this over with so that we can get to the actual main event and... Wait, what? We lost to Wally? Wally? Yeah, even though he might have been a total pushover at the start of the game, his team of gender-type Pokemon are absolutely ruthless, rinsing my team multiple times in a very embarrassing series of losses. I don't believe it. We're on the brink of becoming champion, and we're being humbled by a green-haired kid who doesn't even have a Gardevoir in this game. Despite losing this fight several times, eventually though, our team just managed to scrape by to give us the win. Ha, take that, Wally. I knew I wouldn't lose to a weirdo like you. Don't you have a Delphox and like 6 other furries? Shut up, Wally. With that pest now behind us, we're clear to march on into Victory Road. Fortunately for us, all the trainers are randomized, leading to some teams being a little underwhelming. Ultimately though, we quickly made our way through before eventually bringing us to the Pokemon League where the Elite Four and Champion are waiting. However, I am not prepared for this. Since entering the late game, we've lost several times and have had plenty of surprises get thrown our way. I don't expect the difficulty or the ludicrousness of this game to ease up whatsoever in the Elite Four. So, if we're going to become champions, we'd need to assemble a killer squad of freaks and powerhouses. With that, I assembled our roster, consisting of our slightly embarrassing furry starter Delphox, our crab overlord Kingler, the epic gamer Porygon Z, the D's-type Pokemon Swalot, and the sus furry type Zoroark. Our final slot, however, is a bit more legendary, because after turning on the power inside underground Moorville, a truck appears, seemingly driving down towards Slateport, and upon closer inspection, it's here that we're able to find Mew. This adorable little guy is a prime type, filling in the last slot on our team. So, with our team now assembled, we stepped forward to face the horrors of the Pokemon League. Our first hurdle is Sydney, who ditches the menacing Dark type, now specializing in the Silly type instead. This man literally just gathered a team of goofballs to try and stop us. Sydney's Spinda is incredibly irritating as it puts our starter in a confused spiral. So instead, we bring in Mew for a big debut. Except I'm a liar, because this is actually Zoroark. It blindsides Sydney's bear with the furry type move Glomp, followed by a sus type vent attack that crushes the silly guy type Phalanx in a single shot. While Zoroark just misses out on the KO against Dracovish, we can follow up by bringing our gamer onto the field. And after a single nasty plot to boost our stats, Tri-Attack just rips through the rest of Sydney's silly team, giving us a dominant first win. Next up, things are still somewhat normal, as Phoebe is second. And while she can speak to ghosts, she's also able to communicate with something far more heinous: gamers. Thankfully though, it turns out that gamers are weak to ghosts. So Delphox crushes Sableye with a single Shadow Ball. Her Grimmsnarl does manage to set up a light screen, but not only do our magical fireballs do solid damage, we also clutch up, surviving a hit on only 1 HP. This means we can run a train on the rest of Phoebe's team, instantly burning up Beware, with the rest of her roster falling soon after, all of which gives us the win, while also solidifying us as the top gamer in the region. So things have been fairly straightforward so far, and I was feeling like we had our footing. However, this is where the Elite Four starts to get wacky, as the third member of the Elite Four is... Larry? Yeah, the Paldean salaryman was meant to go out on vacation, but is actually working here, as a specialist of the boring type no less. My man just can't catch a break. In an effort to send Larry back to Spain, we lead with our D's type Swallow. Larry opens with Golem and starts out by setting up Stealth Rock. However, we can take advantage of this by using Encore, locking it in place. This forces Larry to switch out his boring Rock type, bringing in his boring Bird type. And while we do trade blows for a few turns, ultimately, Swalot hangs on to draw first blood. Clearly, the sheer presence of Swalot intimidates Larry as he immediately switches out Golem again, bringing in Slacking. This powerhouse of a boring, stinky type is already a little scary, but then it gets worse, because Slacking uses an absurd new move called We Don't Wipe. Not only does this explain why it's a stinky type, but for some reason, this move gives Slacking a double Omni boost. This thing is now as powerful as Ultra Necrozma, and even though we manage to hit it with Toxic, Slacking just annihilates our Swalot, and I am terrified of this thing. Fortunately, we still have our ace, Mew. Or at least that's what Larry thinks, because we can use Zoroark's 2-turn move Vent to not only stall for more poison damage, but also allowing us to completely evade any attack. This completely nullifies Larry's stinky Sloth. Soon after, we bring in Mew for its actual debut, and it dies immediately to Explosion. At least you tried your best, buddy. Thankfully, the rest of Larry's team isn't too much trouble, boasting boring Pokemon with boring attacks, like a Dunsparce who knows the iconic moves, Send Email, and 9 to 5. So we torch our way through the 3rd Elite Four member, but that was horrifying. I can't even imagine what the 4th Elite Four member is gonna be like. Is anyone here? Or... oh my god. Yep, for some reason, we're fighting Elite Four member Sussy Baka, and I have a pretty strong guess as to what kind of Pokemon they specialize in. Immediately, things take a turn for the worst as his lead Ditto transforms into our Kingler and starts setting up with Crab Raves, doubling its attack and speed. If not for the fact that our Delphox just barely takes a hit, we could have had our most embarrassing loss yet. But thankfully, we're able to put down the imposter. And while this whole fight is a complete trip, fortunately, our Swalot and our own sus Zoroark are able to keep his team at bay, outsussing the imposter trainer and ejecting it from the game. So we'd come away with the win over each of the Elite Four on our very first try, leaving us with just one last hurdle to overcome: the champion battle against Wallace. Although, with how dominant we'd been so far, I was confident that we could decimate Wallace. However, I was wrong. Because it turns out Wallace has an insane team at his disposal, filled with some of the craziest strategies and types that you could ever think of. For instance, he leads with Wynaut, a reverse type Pokemon, and by looking at its moves, you can see that it has no way to attack us. So, leading with our Swalot, we can just poison it and then use Encore to help stall. This typically forces a switch into Shedinja, who now has the Mold Breaker ability. But wait, that means it doesn't have Wonder Guard then. So, what does it have? The Sands type? What is this? Well, turns out the Sands type is immune to basically everything except for a few types. Thankfully, we're lucky that we have Toxic to help instantly knock it out, but this just goes to show the level of craziness that we have to deal with in this fight. And speaking of crazy, next in is Silvally. It's usually a fairly decent Pokemon, but in this fight, it's just downright broken because it's holding the rare Emerald memory, making it an Emerald type. And the Emerald type is super effective against everything, while also resisting everything. Yep, this thing is just completely broken. While I did manage to eventually take it down, Silvally sliced through 5 of my Pokemon in the process, bringing us to the brink of defeat. But once Delphox finally takes out the broken Emerald type, things don't get any easier, as Wallace then just whips out a Deoxys. This man has Pokemon made of cheese, overpowered typings, as well as legendaries on his team, which all results in us just getting absolutely crushed. That loss was just devastating. This fight is so unfair, featuring one of the most broken champions I've ever seen in a Pokemon game. However, despite feeling truly hopeless, we had no other choice but to step forward once again to take on Wallace. Yet again, we lead with Swalot and follow the exact same plan of poisoning and encoring Wynaut, which works like a charm. However, unlike last time, Wallace decides to let his Wynaut fall into the red before healing it and then switching it out. We then almost nail a lucky Toxic on Shedinja as it comes in, but unfortunately miss our attack. Although, on the following turn, we land the poison this time. Wallace responds by also poisoning us before Sanzinja goes down. This summons the Emerald Menace once again, and I felt a strong wave of deja vu as it proceeded to rip through both our Swalot and Kingler in quick succession. However, our prime gamer, Keegan J, steps up to the plate and comes in clutch, as Porygon Z does huge damage with Tri-Attack to bring Silvally into the red. And since Wallace has already burnt his full restore, at this range, Zoroark can finish the Emerald Ace, while we still have half of our team alive this time. Although, Wallace's Deoxys immediately swings back the momentum by obliterating Zoroark with a single Meteor Mash. And while this is beginning to look very ominous, this is where our own legendary comes into play, because Mew tanks a Crab Hammer like a beast and pays homage to our king with a Crab Ray. This boost to our attack and speed means that not only do we now outpace Deoxys and bury it with an Earthquake, but the Metagross that follows absolutely crumbles to another earth-shattering attack, bringing this fight down to a 2-on-2. Wallace also has a Latias in the back, and this is where the fight reaches its peak. Our Prime Sub's attack from Mew deals just under half before Wallace sets up a Calm Mind to supercharge his OU-type Dragon. Another Prime Sub leaves Wallace's Legend on only a slither of health, but he goes for another Calm Mind. This greedy play lets Mew take down Latias, leaving Wallace with only the returning Wynaut. But the champion can only watch on in horror as our Mew and Delphox both fire off attacks before one final Fireball is all we need to finish the fight. With that, we had somehow conquered Wallace's insanely broken team, becoming champions in this ridiculously amazing world of Pokemon Too Many Types. Jump into this video next for more Pokemon content, and let me know in the comments which new type from this video is your favorite. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.